In this video, we're going to go over the most common Tesla Model 3 myths, and yes, even in 2020, 3 years after the initial release of the Tesla Model 3, there are still a whole bunch of assumptions and myths about this car, but nonetheless, we're going to bust them. Stay tuned. What's poppin', what's Gucci, guys? If you are new to the channel, welcome. If you're a subscriber, welcome back. Today I'm putting on my Mythbuster hat and we're going to be going over the top, not 5, not 6, but 7 most common Tesla Model 3 myths. So if you enjoy watching Mythbusters as much as I did growing up, make sure to smash the like button because liking the show, we're going to be busting some myths today. Anyway, let's dive right into it with our first myth, and it's that all Tesla Model 3s are extremely quick. But wait, are they though? Let's take a look real quick. Based on what you just saw, yes, my car is quick, but it is not extremely quick. Let me be clear, my 2020 Tesla Model 3 Standard Range Plus is the cheapest Tesla advertised on Tesla's website for about $38,000 before taxes and fees, and it can go from 0 to 60 in about 5.3 seconds. So it's by no means near a Ferrari or a Lambo, but it does get up to speed decently quick with the instant torque, and with the fact that it's fully electric with the single gear transmission. Even with that being said though, I wouldn't consider this car extremely quick due to the fact that the 0 to 60 time is not the best. However, its counterparts are a little bit more jolty. You see what I did there? Jolty because it's electric. Back to the point, one of the counterparts is the dual motor long range Model 3, which can go from 0 to 60 in about 4.4 seconds. So yes, it's definitely quicker, and yes, it can beat a majority of the cars you encounter on the streets, but it is still not the quickest car in the Model 3 lineup. The quickest Model 3 is the Performance Model 3, hence the name Performance, and it can go from 0 to 60 in as little as 3.2 seconds. And yes, this car will blow your brains out with how quickly it accelerates. So to answer the question of, are all Model 3s extremely quick? The answer is no, therefore this myth is busted. The second myth we're going to go over is that a Tesla Model 3 is expensive, and this one's going to be entirely subject to your own opinion, because what I might find cheap, you might find expensive, and what I consider expensive, you might consider it to be cheap. So just a little disclaimer there for you guys, but yeah, a lot of people think that a Tesla Model 3 is expensive, and while it can be, it doesn't have to be. If there's one thing I've learned from the buying process of my Model 3 is that you really have to conduct your research and see if it makes sense for you to pull the trigger on buying a new car. So starting off with the numbers, again, the Tesla Model 3 starts off at $38,000, then it goes all the way up to $47,000 for the long range trim, and from there it goes to the Performance Model 3, which starts off at $55,000. And before we even go further from here, $55,000 for a Tesla with all of these features such as the 20-inch wheels, performance brakes, lowered suspension, track mode, and all of the other features, it's a pretty darn good deal. I'm not saying it's cheap, but it's a great deal for everything that you would be getting. Now let's talk about the Tesla Model 3 Standard Range Plus, the very vehicle that helped me kickstart my YouTube career and made it possible for me to be making this video. Starting off at $38,000 before taxes and fees, this variation is the cheapest one offered on Tesla's website, and even though $38,000 may be considered a big chunk of money, which I agree it is, the car is worth every penny, and there's so many different factors to think about when you're looking into buying a Tesla. First off, the gas savings from owning a Tesla is substantial, and just to give you an idea of how much it would cost me to charge my car, I typically charge my car at the superchargers when I'm around 20% or so left on a battery, and I charge all the way up to 90%, which usually costs me around $10 or so, give or take for the session. But in reality, my charging is free from all of the referral miles gained through Tesla's referral program, so it cost me $0. In spite of that, this should give you an idea of the charging costs, and keep in mind that charging at the superchargers is typically more expensive than charging at home. Unless of course you have free supercharging miles like me, then in that case your charging will be free. With that being said, $10 to get me back up to 90%, which allows me to drive my car for 220 miles or so before having to charge again. Compared to the $40 I used to spend on my BMW, that's really not a bad trade-off at all. Oh, and by the way, if you want to know why I only charge my car to 90%, check out this video afterwards. It should be up in the card somewhere. Another factor to think about is the maintenance in the Tesla Model 3. I've had my Model 3 for about 9 months now, and if I still had my other car, guess how much I would have spent in maintenance? And let's just talk about oil changes. Most likely around $300 to $400 easily, and that's with me buying my own oil, taking it to a private shop, and just paying for the labor. Now aside from just the oil change savings, guess how much I've spent in maintenance for my Tesla Model 3? Yeah, $0. And guys, I'm not going to get too deep into the details here since this video is not only focused on the cost savings, but I just wanted to give you guys a few examples of why a Tesla doesn't have to be expensive. And if those reasons weren't enough to convince you yet, look up your state and local rebates for buying a Tesla Model 3, and consider all the time you save from not having to go to a gas station. Because after all, time is money, right? So because a Tesla doesn't have to be expensive from all of the cost savings, this second myth is busted as well. For this next myth, I'm going to start off with a couple of keywords: paint, panel gaps, dents, and scratches.
I have just described to you the Loch Ness Monster.
These are some of the things that people complained about over the past couple of years when it came to the overall quality of the Tesla Model 3. But according to a survey conducted by Bloomberg last year, owners are now finding increasingly improved vehicle build quality and an uptrend in positive ownership experience. Originally, when Tesla was in production hell, there were a ton of issues concerning the items mentioned earlier, though as time progressed on, studies are now showing that we are seeing a decrease in issues when it comes to the overall quality of the Model 3. Even to this day, I still see people on Tesla forums asking about whether or not they should order a Model 3 with the fear of quality issues, and my answer every single time is 100% yes. The reason why I say 100% yes is because in case there are any issues with the car, you can simply note those issues down, and Tesla will fix them for you free of charge. And if the issues are too big for you to handle, you can simply return the car within 7 days of delivery. That's more than enough time for you to do a thorough inspection and note down any imperfections with the car, and again, worst comes to worst, just return the car and roll the dice again. And guys, I get it might be a hassle, but at least you can return the car for a full refund. And again, this is just in cases where there is something wrong with the car. There's always a good chance that nothing is wrong at all and you're perfectly happy with delivery. Since the Tesla Model 3 is seeing an uptrend in overall quality, this myth is now busted. The fourth myth on this list is this very statement, and I quote, "I don't have home charging, so I can't charge my car." One of the biggest reasons why people hesitate on buying a Tesla in the first place is because of this very belief that they can't charge their car unless they have home charging set up. So let me just quickly go over what you need for home charging first. First, Tesla recommends plugging in your car to charge every evening to top off the battery, and while it's not required, it's just to ensure you always wake up to a fully charged Tesla. Now with that being said, in order to charge your car at home, all you really need is a 110 volt outlet, also known as a NEMA 515. And by using this outlet, you'll gain approximately 2 to 4 miles of range per hour of charge. And before you say anything, I know it's kind of slow, but it's just proof that you can indeed charge your car at home because I'm sure your house has one of these outlets. And if you want faster charging, simply pick up your phone, call your local electrician, and then just install a 240 volt outlet.
But Jay, I live in an apartment complex or a condo and there's no outlet where I park, so how can I charge my Model 3?
Well, I'm glad you asked because aside from home charging, there are plenty of ways you could charge your car, and just to name a few options, you could use a destination charger, you could use a local EV charger, you could charge at a friend's house, or you could supercharge your car, which is exactly what I do and I absolutely love it. Let me tell you why I love it. Imagine this scenario: you pull up to any local supercharger, you get out of your car, you unplug the plug from the supercharger, and then you plug it into your car, and flash forward half an hour later, you are fully charged again, and this all ends up costing you a grand total of, wait for it, $0. Now how does that sound? Too good to be true? Well, it isn't, and here's how you can get 1,000 supercharging miles for free. If you end up placing a new order with my referral link, both you and I would get 1,000 free supercharging miles after you take delivery, so it's just a little incentive for current Tesla owners to refer other people to buy a new Tesla, and it's the main reason why I'm able to supercharge my car for free and not have to spend a single dime charging at home. So charging at home or at a supercharger should be more than enough reason to convince you to forget about this myth, but if that's not enough, again, you have the option to charge at a local EV charger or a destination charger, which you can find through the map in your Tesla Model 3 or through third-party apps like ChargePoint and EVgo. As a result of all these charging methods, the statement that you cannot charge your car because you don't have home charging set up is complete bogus, and because of that, let's cross out this myth. The next myth is that the Model 3 does not have enough range, and this is because when people think of a Model 3, they automatically think that because of its cheaper price point, that it will have less range compared to the other vehicles in a lineup. Except, this is not true. The Model 3 has 3 different variations available at the moment: the Standard Range Plus, which is what I have, the Long Range Model 3, and a Performance Model 3. The Standard Range Plus version has the least amount of range out of all Model 3s, yet it still carries around 250 miles of range at a full charge. And remember, Tesla does recommend only charging up to 90% for daily driving, so let's just say it carries around 230 miles of range, just for this example. When you look at this number, you might be thinking that it's really little, because if you're driving a regular ICE car, chances are you might hold around 300 miles of range. However, something people often forget about is that you can charge your Model 3 every single night at your house, or you can charge every couple of days at the other charging solutions I mentioned earlier, because no one really uses the entire 230 miles of range per day. With that being said, the average American driver commutes around 16 miles each way, so realistically, 230 miles of range should be more than enough to last you a couple of days before having to charge again. And just for your reference, I do have another video on the channel that goes into more detail about whether or not the Tesla Model 3 Standard Range Plus has enough range or not, which I'll link it in the card above and down below as well, so feel free to check out that video afterwards. Moving on, aside from the Standard Range Plus, there's also the Long Range and Performance Model 3, which holds 299 and 322 miles of range respectively, and I'm not going to go too deep into this because it's just more examples that the Model 3 does indeed have enough range, and having said that, we could say goodbye to this myth. The second and last myth is that the Model 3 is too small, and instead of trying to convince you guys all through words, how about I show you instead? As you can see, the Model 3 is not small at all, and at first I thought it was small too, but after owning it for several months, you start to realize how many things you can fit inside it. The craziest thing to me is that people actually sleep inside the car when they go camping or when they go on a road trip. It's unbelievable how capable the Model 3 is compared to other cars. I mean, what other cars besides Teslas do you hear about people sleeping comfortably inside them? And yes, I'm sure you can sleep inside any car realistically, but can you do it comfortably with the AC on or the heat on? I don't think so, otherwise you'll be burning a ton of gas. So going back to the question of, is the Model 3 too small? It certainly is not. Therefore, you should smash the like button, and we'll eliminate this myth off our list. Finally, we've arrived to the last myth on our list, and it's the belief that all Model 3s can drive by themselves. But that's not entirely true. What Tesla has available for their cars at this moment is what's known as autopilot, which essentially enables your car to steer, accelerate, and brake on its own. However, it is certainly not 100% full self-driving yet. It is true that Teslas are known to be full self-driving capable, but due to regulations and testing, Tesla has yet to release the entire package. In addition to that, for the people who have the full self-driving software, their cars can perform more features such as auto park, summon, and respond to traffic lights and stop signs, but again, it is still not 100% full self-driving at the moment. Since I don't have the FSD software, here's what autopilot looks like for those of you who aren't familiar with Teslas. So due to the fact that Tesla has not released the entire package for FSD yet, this myth is not true, therefore it is busted. Well, there you have it, guys, the top 7 Tesla Model 3 myths busted all in one video. What'd you guys think? Are there any more myths that I forgot to mention? If so, please leave a comment down below, and if you have any friends or family members who believe in any of these myths, please feel free to share this video with them. Also, if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to smash the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And lastly, shout out to everyone who has supported me all the way to 1,500 subscribers. I still can't believe we passed my original goal of 1,000 subscribers within 1 year, and with the rate that we're growing, my new goal is to reach 3,000 subscribers by the end of this year. So for anyone new to the channel, please think about subscribing to the channel to help with the growth, and in return, I promise to continue making quality content for y'all. Anyways, thank you again. It honestly means so much to me that we've gotten this far, and I'm so excited to see what's next for the channel. But as always, you guys, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.